else multitude of engineering notices designed at provided guide to the social and business community on how to get ready for a not deal Brexit were liberated by the government on Thursday. Ministers say it is an hardly script and the UK and EU are work on receive and treaty finalised. There is a executive summary. Drive. If you include a UK drive licence, you include been capable to use it to driving everywhere in the EU for job or delight, as it is actual in all 28 countries. But the could changing if down there is a not deal Brexit. The document warns drivers how several EU state may need and world drive allow, that isn't complementary, to be legislative on their roads, as so as their current license. And it could get though more than hard if you schedule to constantly go to an EU nation. Current rules indicate a UK license can be swapped for a regional A. But a not deal Brexit will indicate the ends, and expats may requirement to get a drive testing in their new nation up receive over the tire. Mobile's recent year, nomadic people were impressed as Brussels quashed roaming extortion for phones utilized within the Europe Association. Quite rather than large billing for inviting behind household or wiring snaps on public networks, the portable networks were constrained to consider use in some EU countries the identical as if the client was at household. A not deal Brexit tool complementary roaming can no much longer be guarantee. The government has tested to put minds at otherwise, proverb it will make laws to involve a cap on information roaming extortion. Yet, how is not rather the identical as creature capable to use a UK telephone in the EU in no further expenses. Irish countrymen. As the rules now state, UK countrymen can crucifix the boundary among Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic out of any checks, and defect vice versa. How is sense of the overall journey region, CTA, that allows for certificate-free journey among the UK, Irish Republic, Jersey, Guernsey and the island of Person. But which happens if down there is a not deal Brexit? The government has told down there will be no pragmatic changes to their attitude and no usual migration controls on journeys of during the CTA to the UK. But in no transactions coordinated, it is not precise which the EU will say to how. Passports provide your certificate is upwards to date is the communication of the document. Nobody who wants to journey to the EU following Brexit is said to include at low 6 months leftward on their paper, or they won't be permitted to journey. And such waiting to get their hands on a dark blue certificate quickly will include to expect a slight much longer. Initially, burgundy will yet be the color of selection, though the lid will no much longer conduct the speech Europe Association. But if you wish the dark blue certificate, ministers say they will be given in deceased 2019. Gun. Now, EU countrymen are permitted to journey in gun among term state. The requires a Europe gun undergo, and if you include a, you can go behind and hereinafter in it. Yet, in a not deal script, human beings of the UK will not be capable to get one of these passes and will include to verify in the nation they are travelling to which the rules are. The rules won't changing for EU countrymen although, whose passes will yet be recognised in the UK. Security standards for consumer goods. One of the things proposed by the EU solitary marketplace are overall regulation for consumer goods. If you include tomatoes of Spain or sausages of Germany, they all include to stick to a stringent set of rules for quality assurance. Yet, go March 29, 2019, down there could be problems. If down there is a not deal, consumer goods of the UK would not be coded by the regulation and business community needing to exportable their means would include to verify on law in every nation up they shipped them down there. As well, consumer goods proven by a UK flesh, say cosmetic or bathroom means, would no much longer be recognized by the EU, so would include to go via checks once again, by a Europe Association approved flesh, to do certainly they encounter the block's minimal security requirements. Cars as in meal and do up, car manufacturers are departure to person such regulatory issues. If a car is done in the UK, or the components are, a not deal Brexit tool firms will include to use to the EU for which is named kind adoption, that shows they perform in EU security and ecological standards. Out of the verdant lighting, they won't be capable to sell their cars and components in the 27-term state. The document says how for a period limited time, maybe 2 year, the UK will automatic convertible EU licensing documents in UK licensing documents. Importance, down there would be no issue for EU manufacturers needing to sell their cars in the UK. Yet, out of a transactions, down there is no warranty the EU would offer Britain the identical in back. Radio as it stands, broadcasters in the EU can show their channels in any of the term state, but they just include to go by the study of the nation of descent concept, yet, will vanish in a not deal Brexit. How tool broadcasters will include to dwell by the regulation in every person nation they wish to show their substance in. Private information. You will recall over the year how inboxes were submerged in emails on GDPR. The General Information Protect regulatory applies to all organizations. How NOB Europe Association countrymen information. While the rules came in, they gave consumer new rights, such as conclusion out which information is creature detained on them, and receive firms to exclude how data, except they had a nice cause to hold it. Portion of the regulatory, as well intended companies were just capable to transmission private information external of the EU if down there was a legislative base for making so, but they could email it everywhere during the block. The UK is departure to hold the identical norm, so down there would be no instant effect down there. Yet, if a transactions wasn't coordinated, UK companies could person problems receive information of term state, as they would no much longer be side to it. Environmental/pollution. Down there is a lot of law how has been done in the EU while it comes to defending the environmental or, in rotate, the public health of countrymen. Targets to bring airborne, water supply, and earth contamination are set by the bloc, as so as emissions of vehicles and production. The UK has incorporated to hold these standards, and maybe lift them high, but in a not deal script, down there may include to be intermediate measures time we expect for by the government to get their new rules via Parliament. As well, while it comes to means with injuring chemical substances, the companies who do and sell them may requirement 2 various permits, one for the UK and one for the EU, giver them more than red ribbon to sneak via drugs. Narcotic precursors are chemical substances how can be utilized in the illegal production of narcotics. But they can as well be utilized for more than legal tool, such as in medication, perfumes, or for plastic trade. These material is lightweight quite as a term of the EU. But if you are on the external, it comes at a price. A license to sell in the unit how could price thousands of pounds. So, a not deal would put firms in how stance direct off area. The UK is portion of a quantity of collaborative Europe area programs. These involve Galileo, a Sputnik draft for GPS system, Copernicus, that carries out land observational data, and EU area observation. These are essential for a band of UK business community, of telecoms firms to universities. But until the ordinary smartphone customer won't sense the impact, companies, academic environment and researchers will no much longer act a portion in evolving the system and will be incapable to bid for next contracts. The government has pledged to put £92 million of its Brexit willingness to style its own UK World Navigate Sputnik framework, but lot in the segment include pronounced fears of falling down out of the current EU release. Grants the UK can use for a quantity of various grants of the EU to foundation projects through the nation. The can band of cash money for transportation projects and ultra-fast wideband rollouts, via to assist for disadvantaged communities, love schemes to build jobs or learn skills. But if down there is a not deal Brexit, the cash money these things trust on could be cut off previous. In July, the government pledged to foundation billions of pounds of programs before the end of 2020 in the occasion of a not deal. But down there will be several caveats implicated, such as collaborations in some term state receive the acts, and changes in link in some social conducting. Industry and invest. The EU has length detained big companies to expense while it comes to contest. The concept is it stops companies misuse a dominating marketplace stance. The UK has seen such rules redundant there. Microsoft representing a web browser selection display priest up for sample, but if not deal happens, the identical rules win use. By the government says the UK contest and market's credibility will get on liability for the part, but it will not be connected by EU law, so outcomes could be various. Navigation. We are an isle, and as such navigation has ever played a key part in the economics. But a not deal Brexit could conduct to several anxiety on the top seas. If a vessel of a non-EU nation wants to come an EU seaport, it has to present safety data and get an clearing up dock. Of year, members of the EU don't requirement to worry about on the. Yet, a not deal UK on the external would include to use. The papers as well show team members of the UK may be struck as they would no much longer conduct the proper certificates to job on EU where. The UK has told it will go on to recognise EU certificates for Europe workers on UK boats, but it is up to the EU to respond in kind how.